That's not a way difference, like, Bernie, you wanna add anything?
No, the plate is 25.
I need to do the thing.
I can't do no 20. I don't know.
Let's do 25 in the same.
Okay. Happy Friday.
Oh, we put first at 8. He's like, I'm gonna go look at them.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you're right.
I was like,
So Birdie Squad.
I don't know.
Okay, do y'all see how short your notes are? Look, just one little page. Okay, we ready? Okay, so today we're gonna finish up our unit on logs. Then next week on Tuesday, you guys are gonna review. And then on Thursday, you're gonna take your test on logs. Okay, and then after your logs test, you go to Thanksgiving break with no homework, okay? So this is for next week. Today's our last day on logs. So specifically, we're gonna talk about the natural base. So can you think of the number that I'm thinking of that is a letter for a ratio between circumference and diameter of a circle?
Pi?
It is pi. And what is pi approximately? Okay, 3.14. Okay, so this is the number pretty much that almost everybody knows just because you've seen it so much in geometry and algebra 1, blah, blah, blah. But there's another letter that stands for a number that has to do with exponential growth. So it's going to be the base rate for continual growth. So any guesses? This is actually an English letter that you've seen in like lots of equations and stuff. X could be any number. It's not I, that's another good one though, E. Okay, very good. So put E right here, equivalent to. Oh, okay, it is, I guess, right there. Normally E is written lowercase. And then I want to show you where E is on the calculator. So look at your divide by button. Do you see it in blue? So to find what that value is, and actually pi is right here above it. Okay, but to get to E, we're going to hit second divide by. And E is approximately 2.718. Okay. So pi is 3.14, relationships with circles, exponential growth, your natural base is E and it's 2.71. Oh, no, please don't memorize. Please don't memorize. What?
Even if the number after the 1 is 8.
I just cut it off lazily, but you're right. I guess technically we should round that to a 2 since it's 718. Okay, so let's talk about E. E, because it's a special base for exponentials, is also a special base for logs, because remember, logs and exponentials are inverses to each other. So log base E would be written log little e. And because it's so important for logs, you actually have a special button on your calculator for it, ln. Okay, so let me show you where that button is. Do you see that you have your log button right here? And then right below that is ln. That means log base E. Okay? So I'm going to put right here, the reason they abbreviate it that way is that it's called a natural log. Okay, the letters are reversed because it's actually Latin, but it doesn't matter. Okay, ln and natural log are the same thing. Okay. So the good news for you, and the reason that we can pretty much wrap this up in one page of notes, is because everything that you learned about logs also applies to natural logs. The only difference is natural log, you have that odd little E base, but all the same rules apply. So if I have a log of something times something, how can I separate them? With plus or minus?
Plus.
Plus, so that would be ln x plus ln y. But you should notice, we already know that property with logs, and ln is just a specific base log. Okay, look at the next one, what if my x and y are divided? How can I separate them? A minus. There'd be ln x minus ln y. Okay, then you only have one more rule for logs. If you have a number up here in the exponent, do we remember where that number can move? To the front, very good, so it'd be n ln x. Okay, but notice, this is all the same properties that you already know. Same as log properties. Okay, why is that? Because an ln is also just another type of log. So let's take a look at number one. We have a test on this next week, so we're gonna try to wrap up all the things we've learned. Expand means to break everybody down into their own log. So if that's a 9 times an x times a y, how will I separate them each into their own log? What operation will I use? Addition, so it'd be ln 9 plus ln x4 plus ln y4. Am I done? Is that considered expanded? No, those numbers from the top gotta drop down to the front. So my 4 goes to a 4 ln x and a 4 ln y. So your final version would be ln 9 plus 4 ln x plus 4 ln y. Do we remember that with logs? Okay, let's go to number 2 then. Number 2, you have sum multiplication and sum division. So we just have to be careful when we separate that we make sure that multiplication turns into what? Addition, and division turns into subtraction. So I have a 10, an A, and a B. So let's do ln 10. Will it be plus or minus ln A? Because it's on top. Will it be plus or minus ln B? Minus ln square root B 5. Okay, then remember that we've also talked about a square root is really just a power in disguise. What power is a square root the same as? Okay, square root turns into a 1/2 power. Okay, that is correct. So if it's a square root on B, that's really a half. If there's already a 5 up here, just cut the 5 in half. And then once I cut that 5 in half to show that the square root was there, where do I drop it to? Down to the front. So it'll be ln 10 plus ln A minus what?
Or 2.5.
I'm gonna leave it as a fraction, but 2.5 is the same, ln B. Okay, can we do that? All right, that process is called expanding, because you're separating it out into separate logs. On that same day, we also learned how to condense, which is where you squish your logs back together. So take a look at number 7, same steps, but in reverse. What am I gonna do first with that 7 in the front? Back on the x as an exponent, same thing for the 3, we'll go to a cubed. Same thing for the 2, we'll go to a squared. Then from there, I want to take all 3 of those separate ln's and I want to combine them into just one ln. So I'm going to do ln big parentheses. My x and my y will stay where? Top or bottom? Top, so I'll have an x7 and a y3. Why will my z go to the bottom? Because it was originally subtracted. And remember, subtraction turns into division when you're condensing for logs. Okay, take a look at number 4. What would my first step be on number 4? Yeah, we have quite a few things to move. So let's do the 1/2 is gonna jump up on which letter? The B. The 2 is gonna jump up on the And the 7 will end up on the D. Okay, then from there, when I combine these, I want to make sure anything added stays on the top. Anything subtracted goes to the bottom. So ln big fraction. What letters will stay on top? A and B to the half. And what letters will end up on bottom? C squared and D to the 7. Very good. Okay, is that finished? Okay, no fractional exponents. What's a half exponent the same as? Square root. So I'm gonna make this turn back into a square root B like that. So that would be your final answer. Okay. So turn half power into square root. Okay, any questions on that front side? Hopefully not. Okay, all the same rules as logs. You're doing the exact same things that we've been doing all along, just for LNs. What does LN stand for? Natural log. Remember, the letters are backwards, just click black. Go ahead and turn the page, backside. So we learned how to expand, we learned how to condense. The last thing we have to cover now is how to solve. So go ahead and turn the page, look at number 6. First thing I need to do is get rid of the 4 in the front. How do I get rid of a multiply by 4? Okay, division, divide by 4. So now I have ln x minus 1 equals, what is 12 divided by 4? 3. Okay, from here, I want you to remember that ln is a shortcut for log little e. That's what that really is in red, is a log little e of x minus 1 equals 3. So remember, we solved these the same way we solved all the other logs. If it was a log little 5, I would use a big 5. Log little 7, I would use a big 7. So how do I get rid of a log little e? I put a big E on both sides. So put a big E as your base here and a big E as your base here. And then what happens when you put a big E on the log little e? They're going to do what? Cancel out just like they did last time. So these are going to be gone. All I have left is x minus 1 equals. And then I'm going to put this into the calculator. Remember, I showed you where the E button is. So to turn E cubed into a number, I'm going to hit second divide by E up to the 3. E up to the 3. Very good. And I want you to think about E is 2.7. So if I do 2 cubed, that's 8. 3 cubed is 27. So does it make sense that it'd be somewhere in between those if E is 2.7? Okay. So put your 20.085. 20.085. And then is that my final answer?
No.
No, I have a minus 1, so I have to plus that 1 across. Very good. So then I have x equals, that'd be 21 point. Now for the 0.85, how are we gonna round that? 0.9. And for your homework, it's still gonna be to the hundredths place, which is 2 decimals. Okay, so that'd be 0.9. Okay. Let's take a look at number 7. What are we doing first? Okay, minus that 6 across. What is 3 minus 6? So I have ln 2x equals -3. Then I'm not going to rewrite it every time, but what is ln short for? Log little e. How do I get rid of a log little e? I use a big E. So big E and big E. And what happens when you E on an ln since they're partners? E and ln are going to do what? Cancel out. I'll just keep the two x equals, and then I'm gonna turn this into a number using my calculator. Can I reuse the 20.085 from the previous question? No, because this isn't an E3, it's an E what? To the -3. Okay, so make sure your number should come out differently because it's not the same thing you're putting in. So I got 0.049. Remember, don't round until the very end. So then I'm gonna take this big long number right here and do what with it for my final answer? Okay, divide by 2, very good. So that number divided by 2 comes out to x equals 0.024. Do I round it up or down or keep it the same? Still should be an O2. Now, this is where you're gonna end up with a problem. Okay, write that down and then just look up here. If I had rounded here, what does 049 round to? 0.5, and if I cut 0.5 in half, I get 0.25. And what would that have rounded to here? 0.3. So you can't round until the end, or else it can sometimes, especially if you're right on the cusp of being able to round up, it can make that answer come out wrong in your final answer if you do it too early. Does that make sense? Okay, just a couple more left. You can do it. Number 8, what are we doing first? Okay, there's a 1/2. How do I get rid of it? Divide by 2 or 1/2? Okay, times by 2 on both sides. 2 times 1/2 is going to cross out. We have our ln of x minus 5 equals. 3 times 2 is. Okay, then how do I cross out the ln? Use a big E on both sides. So find what e to the 6 is for me, please. So it'd be e up to the 6. Comes out to 403.428. And then what do I do with the minus 5? Plus that 5 over. So 403 plus 5 is gonna go to 408. Now let's round it. Remember, 2 decimal places. So if it's a 0.42 followed by an 8, are we gonna keep 0.42 or go up? Go up to 0.43. Okay. All right, number 9. What do you notice is next to each other? An ln and an e. What happens when ln and e are next to each other? Cancel them out. What's left on that side now? 6 equals 2x. And then what do we do from there? Divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Great. Okay, take a look at number 10. I think we did some of these last time. If you have 2 logs and they're added, you can't get rid of them when there's multiple logs. That means that you're gonna need to condense to a single log first. So if those ln's or logs are added, how can I condense them into a single log so that I can cancel it out? Multiply. What am I multiplying? The 2x and the x. Okay, so in order to combine those into one log, I have to multiply that together. What is x times 2x? 2x squared. So it's ln 2x squared equals 3. What do we do from there? Okay, we have to get rid of the ln, so we're going to use an e. So my e and my ln are going to cross out here. I have 2x squared equals. Look up e cubed in your calculator. Okay, we actually have seen that number before, 20.085. What would I do next?
Divide by 2.
Divide the 2. And remember, you're not using this little short version. You need to use the big long decimal. So I'm gonna take that number, divide by 2. That gives me x squared equals 10.042. And then what do we do from there? Square root both sides. So I have x equals the square root of, you just highlight the number to pop it into the box. Okay, that comes out to 3.16 followed by a 9. How would I round that? 3.177. Now, question. If it's an x squared, how many answers am I supposed to get? 2. So what's the other answer? 3.17 and negative 3. Or if you want to do the shorthand, remember plus minus. Okay, remember, a quadratic should always give you 2 answers, not just 1. All right, 3 questions left. If you start with an ln, how do you cross it out? You use an E. Then if I start with an E, how am I going to cross it out? Use an ln, because remember, they're inverses. So take a look at number 11. I want to get rid of the E or the big E on the x minus 5. How do I get rid of a big E? What would I do? Log little e, which is an ln. Remember, those are the same thing. So I'm going to do an ln here and an ln here. But remember, why does ln work? Because that really is a log little e and it crosses out the big E. So these are going to cross out. I have x minus 5 equals, and then the ln of 14 is going to go into your calculator. So I think I showed you where the ln button is in case you forgot. It's down here above on. Ln of 14 comes out to what number? 2.639. And my x has a minus 5 with it, so I need to plus that 5 across. And then 2 plus 5 is going to give me what for my whole number? 7. And then the 0.63, do I keep it or bump it? Bump it to 0.64. Okay, take a look at the next one. What should I get rid of first? I do need to get rid of the 4, but what should I get rid of first? Oh, hold on. This one, yeah. The 8. If it's a minus 8, how do I get rid of it? Okay, what is 4 plus 8 added across? So 4e to the x equals 12. Okay, so get rid of your add or subtract first. Can I ln right now? No, because if I did put an ln, the 4 would be in between them and they wouldn't cross out, and now I just made it worse. So how do I get rid of that 4 out of the way? So if it's multiplied right now, I need to divide. So 4 and 4 are going to cross out. I have e to the x equals what number? That's a 3. And then if I need to get rid of a big E, what do I use on both sides? ln, which is the same as log little e. So ln and e cross out, you have x equals, look up the ln of 3 in your calculator. Okay, I got 1.09 followed by an 8. Do I keep the 09 or bump it up? So that'd be a 1.10. All right, last question. Number 13, what do we do first? So I have a 1/3 and a -1. What do we get rid of first? Use the +1 first. What is 10 plus 1? Okay, so I have 1/3 e to the x equals 11. 1/3 is to divide by 3. How do we undo divide by 3? Multiply by 3. So if I had an 11 and I times it by 3, now it's 33. And then last step, how do I get rid of that E? ln and ln, very good. So I have x equals whatever the ln of 33 is. So it's 3.49 followed by a 6. What do I do with the 49? Keep it or bump it? So that'd be 3.50. Okay. I know we did that kind of fast, but are we good? Okay, so you have 10 questions for homework. Be careful on your rounding. The first 5 are like the top. The last 5 are like the bottom. Okay? Yes. Yes, Pat is right over there. And then if you didn't finish last time's homework, I extended the deadline so that if you need to go back and work on it today, it won't count it this week.
That's fine.